I, who have been doing public relations for many years, planted it in the hands of my fiancé, who was not long engaged. This planted me, which caused me to gain a reputation for feng shui and bad luck in the industry, and lost a big order. In order to adjust my mood, I am planning to go on a road trip. Coincidentally, I met a high school male god who has been secretly in love for many years. As a result, I went to bed with him at night, hugged by his princess. Was he forced to promise to confess? Even I planted it in the hands of my fiancé was designed by him. What to do? I can only be my husband and pay myself to me. My mom looked at me with red eyes. Finally, you want to find one. Why is this kid Perry Eve so unreliable? My dad lit a cigarette and stopped talking. I smiled and waved. It's not a big deal. I don't really want to get married that much anyway. I'll come back when I've had enough. Don't think too much about me. Perry Eve's call came in, and I pressed it decisively. And this time, I couldn't be more soft-hearted. The Weshit prompt sounded immediately, and I glanced at it. Perry Eve, you wait for me. I'll take care of this side and I'll go to you, and I'll make up for the trip I owe you. Me, no. Just do it yourself. Fuck the compensation. Starting the engine, I left for the first leg of my trip. When I arrived at my destination, everyone was waiting for me. I originally wanted to complete this trip by myself, but the old father at home insisted on organizing a group for me, saying that we would meet at Huahu Lake and go together for the next trip. However, I really didn't expect to meet an acquaintance, or an acquaintance that embarrassed me. The familiar upright posture, although standing at the back, I still saw him at a glance. I awkwardly greeted Tim Larkin. Why are you there? Tim Larkin didn't seem to want to talk to me, nodded nonchalantly and walked towards the RV next to him. I can't help but be amazed. The rich second generation is really the rich second generation, and even the equipment for self-driving travel must be equipped with the best. What are you doing in a daze? Why don't you come over for a bite to eat? Tim Larkin sat on a small cloth chair and stared straight at me, and the disgust in his eyes was clearly seen by the myopic dog more than 10 meters away. That's right, I'm the short-sighted dog. I reluctantly moved over to Tim Larkin, and a circle of people laughed around him, obviously acquaintances. Do you all know each other? I decided to ask anyway. Thinks that he is mixing well in the public relations field, and he should not mistake this face-to-face relationship. The 3 men and 2 women who were seated, except for Tim Larkin, who pretended to be tall and had a cold face, all looked at me with a smile. We know you too. I'm embarrassed again. Could it be that everyone knows about the new director Perry Eve met with the 18th tier artist for 3 days and 2 nights, and the fiancée of the public relations director, Angela Dora, was disgraced? Obviously, Perry Eve was messing with the 18th tier young actor, but even my fiancée was picked up cleanly, and photos were hung everywhere. I didn't expect that. What was more famous than my business ability was actually the gossip that I was betrayed by Perry Eve. In fact, I seriously doubt that which competitor took this opportunity to mess with me. And if I can't even publicize my own scandal, how can any customers come to me to cooperate? You know, I just received a 2nd-tier star's cheating public relations, and the other party's bid was as high as 5 million, and I can earn a lot of commissions no matter what. As a result, Director Perry Eve and PR Director Angela Dora's bloody triangle story was poked out, and now, the client felt that my luck and feng shui were not good, and the cooperation was also cold. Thinking of this, I couldn't help but be depressed. It really makes you laugh. Tim Larkin glanced at me. Sit down. You're done eating and pitching your tent. That's when I remembered that the camping tent hadn't been set up yet. As far as the eye can see, there are only 2 tents around. Needless to say, Tim Larkin, the pampered rich second generation, must have a car. I looked over to the other 4 people, and one of them, a guy named Samuel Lucas with stud earrings, immediately told me that they were 2 couples. Come on, it's even more embarrassing. I was a little tempted to quit the group, but Tim Larkin said coldly, there's a wolf near Flower Lake. When I heard that there were wolves, I shrunk my neck, toasted them with a Coke, and said dryly, I wish us a happy trip and a good mood. In front of Tim Larkin, I was always so stupid that I couldn't even speak. I've known Tim Larkin for over a decade, and that's something everybody knows. including Perry Eve. Before getting engaged, Perry Eve also invited Tim Larkin to come, but Tim Larkin didn't come. Thinking of this, sitting next to Tim Larkin, I was like an ant crawling lightly, sore and swollen with a crispy heart, wanting to avoid and wanting to stay. I began to think about it. How could I still form Tim Larkin, when I said it was an online group? Is there really such a coincidence in the world? Forget it, don't think about it. I threw my thoughts and wonders out of my mind, and concentrated on eating. Not to mention, Tim Larkin has all the things I like to eat, so I don't have to worry about it. While enjoying the food happily, I watched the beautiful man Tim Larkin in the sunset. I suddenly realized that this group is not so bad. After eating and drinking, and after seeing the stars, I went into the tent and slept contentedly. This night, I dreamed of Tim Larkin again, on the playground of No. 3 Middle School. The cheers of the girls were deafening. A figure jumped over the court. The handsome face shone in the sun. He turned around, and another three-point shot landed firmly under the frame. Come on, Tim Larkin. Tim Larkin is the best. Is surrounded by girls who blatantly like it, but there are also people who hide their love in their hearts. The girl in the dream has 1,000 knots in her heart. There seemed to be a ticking sound falling on the tent, and when I thought about it, I was really sleepy, or it was important to sleep. Angela Dora. Angela Dora. A familiar voice rang in my ears, and I whimpered and rolled over, feeling a chill beneath me. It's really weird. This dream is doing it, and it can still be touched. In my days, I vaguely heard someone zip down the tent and touch my face. Hey, this dream is getting weirder and weirder. When I woke up, I realized that I wasn't in the tent. I squinted at the beautiful man across from me, Tim Larkin, and swallowed. Could it be that I was still dreaming? Awake. Do you want to drink water? Tim Larkin suddenly spoke out and startled me. I realized that I had really changed my sleeping spot, and it looked like I was in Tim Larkin's RV. Not only that, but I was still lying on his bed at the moment, and thinking of this, I felt that my face was hot, and a trace of heat spread from the bottom of my heart. Tim Larkin reached out in confusion. Why is your face still so red and burning again? The palm of my forehead was cold, and I turned my face away unnaturally, and asked him, how did I get here? Tim Larkin naturally withdrew his hand, and handed me a glass of water. It rained outside last night, and you have a fever. Oh, I answered, and stopped talking. I really don't know what to say. Tim Larkin took a coat and put it on the couch and told me, I'll go collect the tent, and you can put it on when you come down. Thankfully, he finally left this tense space, and I exhaled and jumped off with one kick. When my feet touched the ground, the coolness rose, and I realized that I was barefoot. I looked at the men's slippers next to me, and remembered Tim Larkin's usual cold appearance. Forget it, let's go barefoot, so as not to offend him. When I got out of the car, a smell of grass came to my face, mixed with a hint of rain, and the grass under my feet gently scratched the soles of my feet, which was quite comfortable. From the moment I got out of the car, several people present all looked at me, and the meaning was unknown. I didn't know how to explain the fact that I got out of his car, so I just kept my head down and went to Tim Larkin. I stood barefoot behind Tim Larkin, who was about to pack the tent's contents, and the big, smooth back made me lose my mind. Tim Larkin turned around and frowned. Why don't you wear shoes? I lifted my chin and pointed to the tent to indicate that my shoes were there. Go up, I'll find you. Having said that, his face was not very good. I didn't dare to trouble him anymore. The grass was still wet, and I wanted to get my shoes quickly, so I jumped a few steps forward. As a result, Tim Larkin's dominance attribute came out. It's still that kind of princess hug. My heart was beating so fast that I was almost out of breath. It wasn't until Tim Larkin put me back in bed that I reacted, but Tim Larkin put his slippers on my feet, and I was thrilled by the strange touch that came from my ankles. When he treated him so rudely, I suddenly became aggrieved. Tim Larkin, I don't understand. I really don't understand what he does like this. Is he sorry for me catching a cold, or does he hate me for getting into trouble? Tim Larkin was half crouched in front of me, and his eyes fell right on my face. I thought Tim Larkin would explain something, but he just said, it's cold on the ground, don't spoil yourself. After a brief silence, we packed our things and prepared to move on to our next stop. Tim Larkin didn't agree with me driving on my own, on the grounds that I had a fever last night, and was afraid that I would have an accident on the road. So I watched as the substitute driver drove away my car, and I had to share a room with Tim Larkin. Oh no, it's a car. I sat in the passenger seat and diverged my thoughts. But I didn't expect to lose my car on the first leg of the road trip. Still, it seems to feel good. After all, I could sit next to Tim Larkin and stare at his resolute side face. And I lost my mind again. Let's not go far today. Let's go around the neighborhood and stay in town at night. Tim Larkin got everything in order. I wandered in my own thoughts, and I didn't say anything. Tim Larkin was in charge anyway. It wasn't until we arrived at the BB that I realized that the other people were gone. Tim Larkin dismissed my questions with a flirtatious, "They have something," apparently not intending to explain it to me. We opened our rooms in town and went out together. The town is not big. There is not much to eat at night, and I stopped in front of an old woman's stall, and I couldn't walk a little. "Boss, have a beef patty and butter tea." Tim Larkin stood beside me, and the order was so good to my heart that I hurriedly said, "2 copies of the same." "Little girl, you're a good object. He will fall in love with it at a glance." The old woman was quick to pack things for me, and she didn't forget to compliment Tim Larkin. "Boss, you misunderstood. He's not," I subconsciously explained, but was interrupted by the old woman. "You two look like lovers, and sooner or later you will eventually become married. Believe me, I have been looking at people for decades, and I can't go wrong." I looked at Tim Larkin and didn't dare to respond. I was afraid that my grandmother would say something amazing and scare Tim Larkin away. I didn't know what Tim Larkin was thinking, and I didn't know what I was thinking, but the unexpected happened. We were walking quietly on the road, but suddenly a drunk man sprang out behind us, and before we could react, the man had already smashed a stuffy bottle on the back of Tim Larkin's head. Tim Larkin pushed me forward with a hard push. He turned and stopped the drunkard, who threw himself in front of him and strangled him. Tim Larkin couldn't help but stomp on the drunk's feet. The drunken man smelled of alcohol and didn't move, as if he had lost his sense of pain, and instead used all his strength on Tim Larkin. I was in a hurry, so I took the bag in my hand and threw it at the drunk. "You let go. Let it go. I'm about to cry." The drunk slammed Tim Larkin on his chest, muttering about unfairness. Fortunately, Tim Larkin reacted quickly. With a stone wall on his side, he kicked against the wall and fell backwards with all his strength. And the 185 big man, 150 weight, and desperately backward gravity made the drunk let go of Tim Larkin's grip. Tim Larkin quickly rolled over and pulled me forward, and the two of us held hands tightly and ran down the alleyway. Just like 11 years ago, when we were running on the streets outside the community, we had Rita Carter by our side. 11 years ago, Rita Carter and I had nothing to say, and it was a night after a night of self-study, and we were about to go home, but we were stopped by a few young people on the street to flirt. It was Tim Larkin, who rushed out and pulled me away. But the story of the hero saving the beauty, and finally becoming a family falls on Rita Carter. I ran with Tim Larkin for a long time, and the memories that had been precipitated for many years came back to me, and I suddenly burst into tears. Tim Larkin stopped, and I felt the palms of the two of us holding each other sweat, but he didn't let go of my hand, and he looked helpless in the face of my crying. Angela Dora, he called out to me anxiously, and his other hand clumsily touched my cheek, trying to wipe away my tears. I threw myself into Tim Larkin's arms, hugged his strong waist, and my crying became quieter. Tim Larkin put his arm around me tenderly, his chin resting on top of my head, his breath hitting my scalp, gently comforting me. "That's enough. I don't want more." 11 years ago, I folded 1,000 paper cranes, and each one of them had a confession written on it. Tim Larkin, the 100-day pledge of the college entrance examination, and the student representative, said in front of thousands of students, "We all have our own persistent dreams, and from now on, step by step, everything will change." The 100-day countdown begins. Everyone is working very hard to sprint to study, and I am not the other. The only other thing is that I have to fold 10 paper cranes every day. I made up my mind that I could fold 1,000 paper cranes in 100 days, and when the college entrance examination was over, I would confess to Tim Larkin, half finished with 1,000 paper cranes. Tim Larkin breaks into Rita Carter's life. That night, Rita Carter and I, led by Tim Larkin, had a thrilling ride away from the youth of society, and before I could rejoice, I heard Rita Carter excitedly say, "Angela Dora, I feel like I've met my true destiny." Rita Carter's eyes lit up, and my heart sank. At the time, Rita Carter was a philatelic collector, and the handsome boys at school were on the list round after round. It's fair to say that there are no boys that Rita Carter can't tease with him, but she says those are not what she wants. I've been glad that Rita Carter wasn't interested in Tim Larkin, but later, Rita Carter still had his eye on Tim Larkin, and I felt cold in my blood. To this day, I can still feel the loss and despair of that time. Angela Dora, Angela Dora. Tim Larkin called me softly. I remembered Tim Larkin's injury, let go of Tim Larkin, and took a step back. I'll look at the wound. I still want to cry. I feel distressed and afraid. Tim Larkin leaned down and obediently put his head in front of me. I'm fine. How can I be so fragile? Tim Larkin changed his usual coldness, and his voice was unconsciously gentle. I carefully turned over my hair to see that except for the slight swelling of the scalp and a little bit of blood, it seemed that there was no problem, and my hanging heart was put down. We were not in the mood to visit the night market, so we went back to the homestay. All the way, he held my hand, and I didn't think to let go. After experiencing the fright just now, his palm made me feel at ease and made me nostalgic. After taking a shower, I sat on the bed in a daze, vaguely feeling that my relationship with Tim Larkin was different, but I couldn't tell what was different. There was a knock on the door. I put on a bathrobe, and when I opened the door, I found that Tim Larkin had also taken a shower and his hair was still damp. We were both stunned for a moment in such a meeting scene. "I've brought something. Let's eat some." Tim Larkin shook what he was holding. I invited people in, and Tim Larkin sat down cross-legged and set butter tea and beef patties on the table. Looking at the same package, I asked him, "You're going back again?" "Well, didn't I drop it back then?" he said, as if the drunk was an irrelevant passerby. I was a little moved, but I was actually quite reluctant to eat the food. After all, my grandmother said what I wanted to hear. Thinking of this, I sneaked a glance at Tim Larkin. Would he like me too? Bah, bah, or don't be narcissistic. Rita Carter and I are the difference between a goddess and a passerby. He shouldn't have such a big change in taste. Tim Larkin got a head hit, and I couldn't drive more than 6 meters in the RV. We couldn't go any further, so I packed my things and went home. There are some things that can no longer be escaped. When I returned to the company, I asked someone to clear up the things about Perry Eve on the internet, and I used it as a parting gift. But Perry Eve really didn't know how to lift up, and actually blocked my office. He looked sincere. "Angela Dora, you believe me, I have nothing to do with that model." The producer was there for a few days. We just talked about the script. I asked rhetorically, what script does the director and producer need to read together with an 18-tier actor, or 3 days and 2 nights? He had a few scandals before, and I put up with it, and did public relations for him. But when I got married, I really didn't want to bear it. I feel tired to think that I may have to face such things endlessly after marriage. I'm tired. Let's return to being friends. Don't entangle. Let's get together and disperse. I said my final goodbyes to him. "Why, you've changed so fast this time." Perry Eve was at a loss. "Because you don't deserve her chance." As Tim Larkin's voice fell, Perry Eve's face changed suddenly. I looked at Tim Larkin in surprise. I didn't expect Tim Larkin to come. He was leaning against the door of my office. His face was delicate, and his temperament was languid. Perry Eve looked at me, with a hurt look on his face. "You still can't forget him." "Tim Larkin, what do you mean?" "Me, it's okay with him," the assistant answered. "Angela Dora, the guest is here, waiting for you in the living room." I breathed a sigh of relief. "Perry Eve, you go back. We'll talk about the rest." Perry Eve left angrily, not forgetting to put on a stinky face. Tim Larkin leaned over and said, "Send Perry Eve," and I gathered up the papers on my desk, and quickly fled the office. The last time I avoided Tim Larkin like this was 10 years ago because of Rita Carter. I folded the 520th paper crane, and immerse myself in the meaning of 520. Rita Carter told me that she had to take Tim Larkin. Rita Carter moved very quickly, and it only took a month for her to take down Tim Larkin. Because of Rita Carter's domineering attack, I was constantly worried and distracted. Less than a month before the college entrance examination, I rolled down the stairs and broke a leg, so I had to stay at home to recuperate and revise. When I got the news at home that Rita Carter had got Tim Larkin, my heart stopped beating and I wanted to cry but couldn't. I asked her, "What about Norman Bacon?" That was her recognized boyfriend at school, humble and handsome. Everyone called him a golden boy and a girl, and he was very compatible. Rita Carter said, "Norman Bacon is my boyfriend too." I couldn't hide my shock, but she spoke frankly and bluntly that Tim Larkin knew about Norman Bacon's existence. In order for Norman Bacon to succeed in the college entrance examination, she has to tell Norman Bacon after the college entrance examination is over, and let me keep it a secret. Well, I shut up. I dropped my phone and slumped on the bed, and for a moment I even wanted to message Norman Bacon and Tim Larkin, but I didn't dare. I didn't dare to hurt Norman Bacon for failing the college entrance exam. I didn't dare to break my word to Rita Carter, and I didn't dare to ask Tim Larkin why. This month, I have had an extremely painful time. In addition to the physical pain, what was even more terrible was the impact that Rita Carter had on me. She would tell me that Tim Larkin would accompany her to the barber shop and then wash her hair with her own hands, telling me about Tim Larkin's tenderness. I also told me that Tim Larkin took her out to dinner on the weekend, and the two walked the streets around No. 3 High School together, depicting his romance. So, I don't want to contact Tim Larkin anymore. I have to learn to die with Tim Larkin. Tim Larkin, in the last mock exam, your grades have risen again, and if you work harder, we should be able to take the same city, and we will see each other often. Let's talk about it. Tim Larkin, when the college entrance examination is over, let's go on a graduation trip. You make an appointment with Rita Carter, and I make an appointment with me. No. Tim Larkin, how are you recovering from your injuries? On the day of the college entrance examination, do you want me to pick you up? It's more convenient. Otherwise, what can you do as a girl? No. Thank you. He said that he went on a graduation trip, said about the same city, said that he would pick me up. How excited I was. But I couldn't. I had to control myself. At the end of the college entrance examination, I pushed my wheelchair out of the examination room, and Rita Carter and Norman Bacon discussed the exam questions with me warmly, and it seemed that both of them did well in the exam. At the end, Rita Carter smiled brightly and mysteriously, and she said, "Let Tim Larkin send you back." I knew that she was going to break up with Norman Bacon, and was about to embark on a new relationship, and I gave Norman Bacon a sympathetic look at Norman Bacon, who was staring at Rita Carter's side face with a gentle expression. Tim Larkin was also smiling, clearly in a good mood. Norman Bacon and Rita Carter walked away. Tim Larkin pushed my wheelchair and stumbled. "I have something to tell you." I got nervous all of a sudden. And what did I say? Tell me he was with Rita Carter. And then what? What can I say? Bless him and Rita Carter. It's so uncomfortable to think about. Needless to say, I have something to do today. I quickly interrupted Tim Larkin. You don't have to send me back. Someone has already come to pick me up. I looked in the direction Perry Eve had come from, and thankfully, he wasn't late enough to save me. Tim Larkin seemed to pause until Perry Eve naturally took the wheelchair in his hand. "Hello, senior. I'll take Angela Dora home." That day, with Tim Larkin's slightly confused expression, I fled. Tim Larkin visited my office again, and he sat across from me. "Angela Dora, I think you're avoiding me," he affirmed. I don't look up. I flipped through the information in front of me. "When you come back from Langwu Temple, you're hiding from me," he continued. I still kept my head down and didn't look at him. "You can also see that I've been busy lately and have a lot of things to deal with." "What's the matter?" "Perry Eve's black material. He has dozens of scandals a year, big and small, so you have to stick it on yourself." "Why? You still want to forgive him? Isn't it a sense of accomplishment that you have picked one green hat after another? Do you still want to marry him? Sometimes I really want to dissect you to see if you're a soft bone. Why are you so angry? There's not just Perry Eve in this world. So you can't look at others and do something else. Tim Larkin was angry, a rare outrage he had, and the first time he had scolded me, he said I had soft bones. Say I'm doing myself. Say I don't look at others. The tip of my nose is sour, but it's not soft bones, and I've been cringing back all these years, even with Perry Eve, to escape from reality, or else. Don't I look at Perry Eve to look at you? I'll admit that I'm a little annoyed and angry, because of Tim Larkin. My silent heart was in turmoil again after the trip to Langwu Temple. Yes, what will happen to me? As soon as these words came out, we were both stunned. In the silent air, there was only the breath of the two of them. Tim Larkin broke the silence. On the day the college entrance examination ended, I wanted to ask you to consider me, but you chose Perry Eve. Since you have decided to leave him before, can you be more thorough and consider me? Let me be your boyfriend. I was stunned by the sudden speech. Then I heard my voice trembling. Are you confessing? Why don't you count? Tim Larkin's voice seemed to tremble, too. I looked up, but I didn't dare to look him in the eye, and glanced out the window, where a large string of balloons was slowly floating up until the contents of the banner were revealed. Angela Dora, please forgive me. The office area outside was agitated, and the assistant ran in and reported, Angela Dora, your director is putting on a big show down there. The large floor-to-ceiling window was half occupied by balloons and banners, and the assistant pulled me to the window. I saw that the downstairs was full of flowers, and Perry Eve was standing in the middle. The assistant said enviously, Angela Dora, just forgive him. He apologized so sincerely. Tim Larkin stood behind me and said nonchalantly, there's got to be a first come first served, right? Don't you think you should answer my question first? Violet, you go out first. I walked away from my assistant and looked Tim Larkin in the eye. Are you sure you're confessing to me? Or else? Tim Larkin asked me rhetorically. I've only been engaged to someone for a few months. I don't mind. What about you and Rita Carter? What? Tim Larkin looked puzzled. It's a stupid thing to mention Rita Carter now, but I can't get past Rita Carter and his past. And I'm afraid that having the same man as my former best friend is too easy to get into trouble. I don't know how long Rita Carter and Tim Larkin have been together. Since we went to college. We haven't been in touch since we were in college, but they often like each other in their circle of friends, and it seems that there is still no end to it. What does this have to do with Rita Carter? Tim Larkin doesn't seem to understand. After Rita Carter got her new boyfriend, I asked Tim Larkin about her status. He said that he had someone in his heart, and would not like anyone else anymore. Tim Larkin didn't keep Rita Carter in the end, but he didn't like anyone else anymore for Rita Carter, and I could only be his friend. Aren't you going to like anyone but her? He also said that he would be single for the rest of his life. Who did you listen to? Tim Larkin's eyes fluctuated. I was speechless for a while, but I missed my feet. A smile tugged at the corner of his mouth. So the Eleanor who came to comfort me inexplicably, confessed inexplicably, and disappeared inexplicably was you. I blushed, and in impulse, I forgot that I had done such a ridiculous thing. On Christmas Eve, shortly after the start of her freshman year, Rita Carter officially announced her boyfriend on Moments, not Tim Larkin. Show. Tim Larkin always posts some lonely playlists at night. I wanted to comfort him, but I didn't know in what capacity to comfort him, and the devil sent him. So I applied for a trumpet named Eleanor and added him. Then every time he sent out a lonely song list, I was the first to be cheeky to comfort him. Tim Larkin Moments, share a song. Eleanor, not every relationship will have a good outcome. Watching each other happy is also a kind of love. You have to learn to let go slowly, but you can't immerse yourself in the past. Tim Larkin. Tim Larkin Moments, another song was shared. Eleanor, looking ahead. Since you have missed it, it is useless to contact again. It is better to grasp the present. Maybe you have a sincere feeling in front of you now. Tim Larkin. After a long time, he began to respond to me, although lukewarm. But he was a friend anyway. Sometimes he asks me, Eleanor, which song should I listen to lately? Eleanor, listen to a song about memories. Memories are important, and the future is important. Tim Larkin. Eleanor, you can also listen to a song about letting go. Everyone has regrets and sad memories. Don't keep your regrets to yourself. Change yourself, from now on. Tim Larkin. 2 years later, one day I went out to drink in the dormitory, and I drank a little too much, and the wine was so bold that I actually confessed to him on the trumpet, and also stalking, and even warning threats. If you don't promise me, you'll be single for the rest of your life. With your cold appearance and stinky temper, which girl can persevere? Not surprisingly, he turned me down. Who would accept a person who only dares to chat online, but never knows voice and video, or even photos? He said, I have someone in my heart, who will not like anyone else but her. It's a lifetime to be single. No one can stand me like this anyway. When I woke up, I was ashamed, remembering his deep affection for Rita Carter, and my heart was broken. So I had to silently cancel the trumpet. Why do all this useless work? Eleanor's identity was revealed, and I turned my face away from him. There was a stir outside, and there was a knock at the door. Tim Larkin opened the door, but no one was let in. The assistant saw that the scene was embarrassing at this time, and she said cautiously, Angela Dora, Perry Eve is still waiting for you below. Someone recognizes him. The scene is a bit chaotic. I'm sorry to go down and tell me that Angela Dora was with me, and my name is Tim Larkin. Tim Larkin unceremoniously closed the door. When did I stay with you? I was shocked. Just now. I promised you the confession you made to me. I'm ashamed. I really haven't seen a confession promised after so many years. It doesn't count. Why? It was obviously him confessing. But how did it become the confession he promised me? Tim Larkin cheeked. Either you promise my confession, or I promise your confession. If you don't agree, then I promise you. Save yourself a lifetime of being single. HMPH. I hate it. I said that I hated it, but my heart was filled with joy, and the corners of my mouth were unconsciously hooked. Look, you're smiling. Tim Larkin reached out and pulled me into his arms. He hugged me hard, and I held him hard, listening to his solid and powerful heartbeat. I'm a little incredulous. Are we together now? After a long time, Tim Larkin kissed me on the forehead. Let's go. Where? I don't know why. Tim Larkin pinched my face and said with a taste, go down and reject Perry Eve, lest you regret it later. I said yes to him. At the meeting between the two parents, Perry Eve did not show up and acquiesce to me in the marriage. I sometimes wonder, aren't we too small? How did I get engaged and get out of the marriage in a daze? When they learned that Perry Eve and I had made up their minds, the two families immediately got engaged and began to discuss marriage. Now, things have changed. Perry Eve's mother looked at me worriedly. Angela Dora, Perry Eve, this kid is not bad by nature, but in this circle, it is inevitable that he will be stained with some bad things. You can take care of him in the future. All I can say about this is that I tried. I know that it is useless to rely on the problems between us, although when we are together, we are only trying for the family. But the engagement is deliberate. Maybe it's because of the lack of affection. I still lack the courage to spend my life with him after all. In that sense, I owe Perry Eve. When I went out, I had a lot of thoughts. What are you sighing for? Tim Larkin looked wary. It's too late to regret it. He warned me in a vicious way. I rolled my eyes. Don't regret it. If you dare to regret it, I will curse you to die alone. I've liked him for so many years, and I've finally been together. How could I regret it? He doesn't know how happy I am in my heart. Then no one will regret it. He clicked and kissed me on the cheek. I found out that from the first day together, he was taking advantage of me every day. Seeing that I was shy, Tim Larkin laughed and said, what's the matter? My girlfriend can't kiss me anymore. Okay. I also leaned in and kissed him. How could I let myself suffer? Tim Larkin had a smile in his eyes, and I grinned too. We went to Langmu Temple in May, and we were confirmed to be together in June, and now it is a refreshing September, and I am already thinking about taking Tim Larkin on a trip during the National Day holiday. I chewed on a popsicle and vaguely asked for Tim Larkin's opinion. Tim Larkin was stunned with his phone in his arms. What? I leaned in to look. Rita Carter, I'm back home. Do you want to see me? It's over, and I feel a sigh in my heart. Still can't hide from your ex-girlfriend. I looked at Tim Larkin cautiously. What was his expression? Is it reluctant to give up Rita Carter? The popsicle in my mouth suddenly lost its taste. and I quickly put down my leg coiled on the sofa, and my heart suddenly became empty, and it hurt a lot. He was thinking very seriously, and I thought I might be dumped. As a result, he said, "Let's make an official announcement on Moments, shall we?" Hey, was he angry with Rita Carter? Back then, Rita Carter also posted directly on Moments, which made Tim Larkin depressed for a few months. "If you don't eat it, you'll melt." Tim Larkin moved over, snatched the popsicle from my hand, and took a bite. He put the popsicle to my lips. "I think you should give me a name." I took a bite and the popsicle seemed to taste sweet again. "Okay, then send an official announcement to Moments. Anyway, Rita Carter will know about us together sooner or later, so it would be better to be generous and public. I'm still struggling with the copywriting and the pictures. The phone has exploded, and the information is pouring in." It turned out that Tim Larkin had already posted on Moments, and I clicked in to see it, but I didn't expect him to use a few photos that I hadn't seen. In the first photo, I was wearing long hair, wearing a white dress, barefoot, with my head buried in his chest, and I was beaten and held in his arms. His resolute side face looks like the male protagonist in an idol drama. It's definitely Samuel Lucas. They candid it, but I like it. Photo 2. On the way to travel, I fell asleep, leaning on the co-pilot, wearing his coat, and he secretly took a picture of my sleeping face. In the third photo, I was wearing lagere, sitting cross-legged on the sofa licking popsicles, looking happy, which was taken just now. Copywriter, that's her, Samuel Lucas. The kid also commented, 666. Congratulations to Tim Larkin for finally winning the goddess, and it's not in vain that I took so many photos. I have to say, I'm so good looking, the atmosphere is awesome, and everyone is really cheering, so I don't hesitate to give a thumbs up. Rita Carter's message came immediately, Angela Dora. Are you two together? Yes. When you return home, I will bring him to meet you, and ask him to invite us to dinner. I decided to turn reactive into proactive and protect Tim Larkin. Throwing off my phone, I jumped on Tim Larkin. "You haven't answered me where I'm going to play on National Day. From now on, I'm going to take Rita Carter down quickly and completely before he returns." Thinking of this, I bravely hooked his neck, straddled his lap, and stared straight at him, regardless of the ladylike image. From stun to overwhelming kisses, the interval is less than half a minute. Sure enough, the sentence was answered. Couples will want to kiss if they look at each other for more than 10 seconds. Soon, I realized what it means to be self-inflicted. I knew that by straddling a man's lap, I was tempting him, but I didn't know that I would be eaten by him in broad daylight. The first time I experienced this, I had a backache for 3 days to get better, but Tim Larkin was in a happy mood, humming a little song every day, asking for it endlessly. Before I set off to see Rita Carter, I was apprehensive. I tugged at the passenger seatbelt and swallowed nervously. "Will you come back with me when you see Rita Carter?" Rita Carter's charm is a legend in our circles. As long as Rita Carter hooks his fingers, how many men are waiting in line? Wasn't Tim Larkin hooked up before? But he looked at me like a fool. Now I don't have enough brains, and I think that my powerful public relations director, every time I meet Tim Larkin, it's like being demoted, and I can't figure out his mind. "Why don't you tell me the story of you and Rita Carter?" Before thinking about himself, I didn't dare to mention Rita Carter in front of him, and now I really don't know much about their past. What is there to say? Tim Larkin unceremoniously rejected me. Yes, the abacus of knowing oneself, and knowing that 100 battles will win has also been broken. When I see Rita Carter again, I am still ashamed of myself. Beauty is beauty, and she is the most beautiful in the whole French restaurant. She speaks fluent French and has a confident glow on her body. Tim Larkin politely pulled out a chair for me and sat down. I haven't put together a piece in years. Rita Carter looked back and forth between us. I bowed my head weakly, knowing that the two of them were together, and I alienated not only Tim Larkin, but also Rita Carter. Who made her hurt Tim Larkin? I'm so cautious. But speaking of which, contact is a two-way street, and she didn't contact me. I finished my dinner dryly, and the expected embarrassment didn't happen. Just as we said goodbye, Rita Carter looked at me and Tim Larkin and said, "Congratulations, you got what you wanted." I couldn't tell who she was talking to, and I got what I wanted. But I didn't say I liked Tim Larkin. Does she know I liked Tim Larkin? Didn't she find out that I used to think about her boyfriend? I pulled out an awkward smile to show my gratitude. Tim Larkin also waved goodbye. That's the end of it. The development of the plot doesn't seem quite right. After a hearty pleasure in the evening, he seemed to be very tired. Squinting and leaning on the pillow, I lay down and looked at his face, feeling more and more uneasy. I want to ask you something. I still can't hold back the doubts in my heart. If Tim Larkin is feeling down, I can comfort him, but his emotions are very high. Is it because he was stimulated and vented on me? Heh. He rolled over and wrapped me in his arms. Did you really put down Rita Carter? I burrowed into his arms and asked the question as naturally as I could. Tim Larkin's hands paused as he walked up and down. Look, Rita Carter still had such an impact on him that I pursed my lips and felt like crying. Tim Larkin sat up solemnly. I think there was some misunderstanding between us. After his explanation, I realized that he had never been with Rita Carter at all. I'm furious. Me, didn't you accompany her to the barber shop? Didn't you wash her hair yourself? Tim Larkin, referring customers to my cousin's shop. The sprinkler head is broken. Is it okay to flush her with a hose? Me, didn't you accompany her through the streets near No. 3 Middle School? Tim Larkin, picking a confession gift for you. I was unwilling. Then she officially announced her new relationship. What happened to you sending out lonely song lists every day? Tim Larkin was furious. I'm sad that you and Perry Eve are together and ignore me. I immediately denied. I'm not with Perry Eve. Tim Larkin gave me a riffle look. You're both engaged. Okay. He invited me to come. If I hadn't been embarrassed, I guess you'd be married to him right now. Wait a minute. He said that he used some means. So, Perry Eve, you broke out all that black material. They also deliberately circled me and forced me to lose a big customer. I'm shocked. Is the rich second generation so good at playing? HMPH. I'm so angry. My 5 million big order was actually messed up by Tim Larkin. Woo woo tilde. Tim Larkin glanced at me. Are you distressed about the loss of a client? Or is it distress for Perry Eve? I was right. Then you say that there are people in your heart, and you won't like others anymore. I'm old enough to get married, so I can't find someone who knows the bottom of my life to get married. Damn. Tim Larkin kissed me viciously, and ravaged me all night. I fell asleep in a daze and thought, damn, Rita Carter lied to me like this. Then, Tim Larkin, the sixth one, is also lying to me? But he's mine now, so it's an apology. On National Day, I was escorted back to my hometown by Tim Larkin. Don't ask. Ask is to give a name. With my parents' approval. While they were talking to me, Tim Larkin came into my bedroom to rest. There is no danger, although I will get married soon after I quit the marriage. But the old couple still expressed their support. I was happy to go in and share the good news, only to see Tim Larkin lying on the bed and dismantling 1,000 paper cranes. Tim Larkin, again. I was annoyed. God knows. Back then, I wrote down what kind of shameful love words I wrote on every piece of paper. He shook the paper proudly. It's all about calling me sir. I think it's better. I jumped on the bed to grab the rest of the paper crane, but he pressed me down and kissed him hard. He suppressed his voice. Angela Dora, you don't know how happy I am to see this, which means that I am not alone in those long years. Tears welled up in my eyes, and I choked up after that. We'll be together forever. Okay. Tim Larkin rubbed the tip of my nose lightly. Okay. Then we'll go to the Civil Affairs Bureau tomorrow. What are you doing? I don't understand. He gritted his teeth. Of course I got the certificate. The end.